All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about a double dose of algebra, what it is, why it works, and trust me, I have a lot of experience with this as a teacher in urban ed for the past 13 years teaching Algebra 1 in a math intervention course. I can tell you what works and what doesn't, but I can tell you that if it's done correctly, a double dose of algebra does work. So let's look at the research. You can go read the research yourself. Today here I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of what it is and why it works, how to do it, and what not to do. So double blocking, if it's done correctly, leads to increased outcomes, lower dropout rates, and higher achievement scores. Immediate improvement isn't always going to be the case here. Long-term progress is what we're looking for, and long-term progress is the outcome for a lot of our students. If you look at the research, ACT scores improve, almost 0.15 standard deviations higher, which is amazing. We see higher high school graduation rates, over almost a 17% improvement based on the research. We look at 8.6% more likely to attend college within 5 years of starting high school. Increasing in student grades in algebra coursework, looking at the Bs, they rose over 9%. If we look at this, it also increases future grades in mathematics courses. If you look at all these increases, approximately 0.14 increase was found in overall GPAs in the research. One thing to note is that low-performing students and students with IEPs did not always have statistically significant improvement. The research is continuing with this group of students, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about this because those are the students that I teach, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what does work with that group of students based on my personal experience. Here's a few do's and don'ts. Let's start with the do's. The first thing you need to do is double blocking. It must be with the same teacher and at the very least the same teacher. If you can also get the same students with that same teacher, like for example, period 1 and period 4, the same students and the same teacher, that is going to be the best case scenario. Students are going to have the most statistically high outcomes. The second thing is you got to choose your teacher wisely. They need to be engaging. They need to have strong content knowledge, not only of the content they're teaching, but also prior knowledge if possible. Finally, they really need to understand why are they teaching this and what is the ultimate goal of students being in this double blocked course. If you're a middle school teacher, even better. Start now. Do all these things I'm talking about, but do it in the earlier grades. Another thing teachers need that are teaching these courses are ongoing support, training, feedback. If they're teaching this course, they really need people to come in, especially if it's the first time, and tell them, hey, your rigor is a little low. Let's work on that cognitive engagement. Let's work on that cultural relevance piece. You're doing too much I do, you do, we do. Let's make sure we're asking questions. Students need to be talking. So that feedback is going to be a big piece of how students are going to improve. Administrative support, whether it's an expert teacher, whatever it may be, but someone coming in and really evaluating the effectiveness of the program throughout and improving those things while they're working on them is going to really improve student outcomes. Now let's talk about the don'ts. They're pretty much related to the do's, but don't pick a first-year teacher to take this on. That is not going to work. They will not be effective. They might build some great relationships, but the chances of them having expert content knowledge in Algebra 1 and prior standards is very low. Don't expect a teacher to teach an intervention curriculum and not double the amount of time. So if you're doing math support and you're using the iReady program, for example, and you're teaching Algebra 1 using, let's say, illustrative mathematics, if you're just doing those things in isolation, it's not going to work. There's nothing wrong with iReady. There's nothing wrong with illustrative mathematics, but they are not the same curriculum. So if you're not looking at how you're aligning those two courses, it's not going to work. We shouldn't only be working to fill the gaps. Teachers need to be teaching the content that students need to learn, which is the grade level content. Gaps will need to be filled. Prior knowledge does need to be accessed, but gaps is not the only thing that should be happening. Who's going to benefit the most is the students who are relatively average in math and relatively low in reading. However, my experience, even students with relatively low in math and reading, but they have strong work ethic, they're going to significantly increase their grade and their grade level ability. How can I help you? Please read the slide and learn a little bit more about it.